Now it's time to take a look at what's grabbing the news headlines around the world. Solange is looking at the newspapers for us. Solange, you're starting off with the UN General Assembly, aren't you? It begins today, the Assembly, but before the virtual diplomacy gets underway, there was a bit of a birthday to celebrate.
There was indeed. It was the 75th anniversary on Monday of the United Nations, or they celebrated on a Monday. And as the New York Times tells us, it was a masked festivities. One or two diplomats from 193 member state countries gathered in the General Assembly Hall to ring in the milestone. Now, the paper also noted that there was one speech that was absent, although it was scheduled, and that was Donald Trump's congratulatory recording. And now Trump is speaking today, or he's expected to, as the conversation tells us. But beyond these recorded speeches, leaders and the whole General Assembly meeting is going to be very different than usual because of the coronavirus. Now, streamed videos, virtual conversations will take place instead of the sort of behind-the-scenes diplomacy and chit-chat. The site said that the upside to this is that more people may actually watch the speeches, and that tech-savvy diplomats may sort of have a leg up. But there is a downside, and the conversation says that the traditional sort of diplomatic speed dating that goes on, the behind-the-scenes talks between two countries in the hallways of the UN, will have to wait till next year.
At least we know that the speeches won't run over. So coronavirus then, as Solange said, also climate change is going to be widely discussed at that UN General Assembly. New studies, Solange, showing that the ice in the Arctic is melting at an alarming rate.
Yeah, the ice in the Arctic shrank this year to its second lowest level on record. Le Monde tells us that scientists say the minimum ice this year was at 3.74 square kilometers, when the average is usually around 6 square kilometers in the summer. Now, this is seawater ice, the paper explains, so it doesn't pose the same sea level rising threat as fresh water. But Le Monde explains that rising temperatures are melting it more than usual, and that not only threatens wildlife, but it also threatens freshwater melting of ice in places like Greenland. So that could raise sea levels. Now, Foreign Policy has an article that said that talks about what we should do about all this, and it argues that if we just let climate change happen, it's going to cost a whole lot more than tackling the problems. The magazine says that the downside is the effects of climate change are on us, that there's melting ice, that there are wildfires, pandemic viruses, but that the upside is that all of these problems are linked. Therefore, if we find solutions, and there are solutions available, all those problems could be solved. And that can happen, Foreign Policy says, by governments working together, and that, they say, would save a whole lot of money to the world on the whole.
Let's go back to coronavirus once again. It's had a major economic effect, of course, on restaurants and bars. We're going to turn to the question of pubs, how they're faring with the challenges of coronavirus.
Yeah, if you are a bar or a pub lover, you'd be better off living in Ireland about now, or in the countryside of Ireland at least. The Irish Times tells us that pubs have reopened there after being closed since March. So that was a 6-month hiatus. And this has led to much drinking and festivities, except for in Dublin, which has stayed dry because of the coronavirus. Now, residents of the UK may be looking at the Irish Republic a little bit with green envy, I might say, about right now. Boris Johnson, as The Guardian explains on its front page, is expected to roll out curfews on pubs in a speech later today. So it is a sad world right now for drinkers. And this is the lament of the New Yorker. It has a series of drawings paying tribute to all the bars and watering holes that have closed for good because of the virus.
Yeah, it is nasty times if you're a pub or restaurant owner at the moment. Now it's time to discuss some both sad but also some pretty mysterious news. This is about everyone's favourite spy. Who is everyone's favourite spy? Well, it's James Bond, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
But obviously in Solange's case, from that answer anyway.
Well, let's start with the sad. And then we'll get to the thrilling. Okay. The sad news is that the Bond family lost, as the Washington Post tells us, one of the franchise's iconic villains. The Franco-British actor Michael Lonsdale, who played the villain in Moonraker, passed away on Monday. He was 89. Now, for the mysterious Bond news, Le Figaro tells us there are other Bond villains on the prowl. Perhaps they're replacing Michael Lonsdale. 6 months ago, and these are real-life villains, 6 months ago, thieves stole 5 guns that were used in the Bond films. And since this March burglary, police haven't been able to nab the burglars. So they're asking for the public and potentially Bond fans' help in finding them.
Okay. We need to see pictures of them, don't we, so that we know what they all look like.
Yeah, true.
Solange, thanks very much. So a final little tidbit of Bond news. Some exciting for the franchise's fans or a disappointment for others.
Yeah, and it is all 100% rumor. As the National tells us, the world has it that the next actor that's going to take the place of Daniel Craig the next James Bond, rather, will not be Idris Elba. Rumors have been swirling around him for quite a while. I was actually rooting for him. But it will be instead actor Tom Hardy. Now, again, this is all rumor.
We haven't even got the last film out yet.
I know, but
next.
they've been talking about it pretty much almost since Daniel Craig was named. All the same, Bond fans, as you can see, are hard at work creating fake movie posters with Hardy as their next 007, as the site Cinema Blend tells us. But the big guns, now this is the secret Hollywood bonanza that usually comes out. You can tell I'm a fan. It comes out with such announcements that we'll have to wait until the franchise is sure they've got their next 007. Let's hope. I'm rooting now, since it isn't Idris Elba, I'm rooting now that they'd be actually a woman.
Okay, a woman. I said this earlier, I still think a woman, yes, but 008, not 007. It should be a new
could have
character.
007 and 008
But
working
if
together.
Idris, if you're watching, Solange is on Twitter. She's contactable anytime. It's gone red now.
Yeah.
Solange Michel, the papers on France 24. After the break, we'll bring you up to date with